What is something that you wish you've learned? What is something that you wish you learned earlier in life?
Yeah. I don't have anything. If someone else wants to go first.
Let me let the processor go.
The processor. Scott, do you have an answer? So we could all think.
Okay.
Like you did your thinking in the bathroom, bro. Let us.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I'll just ramble on until you guys think of something. What is something that I wish I learned earlier?
I have one now.
Thank God. Okay.
Ultimately, you're in control of your destiny. You're the one. Well, we had that free movement.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
But it feels like you are. So I think that, don't wait for something to happen to you. Be the person who does the thing for yourself.
Proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
I think that's very important.
I got one too now.
Let's hear it.
So, I always struggle with anxiety issues, and slowly I got better going into college. And I think one thing that would have really helped me if I heard it earlier is anxiety is just a feeling. A lot of the times it's not really that threat is there, and it feels very much so it is, but it's just that feeling that your biology is trying to tell you something. But a lot of the times in our society now, it's disordered to the point where it's debilitating. But if you kind of just recognize that it's just something that's gonna happen, and you just kind of deal with that and accept it, then you don't get nearly as disordered by it.
Actually, I had a question based on that.
Yeah.
Because I heard Sam Harris was talking about how the physiological feeling of anxiety is not that different from the feeling of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just the mental frame you put yourself in. So, like he said, an example could be, let's say you're about to go on stage, you give a speech, you could feel anxiety and anxious, but if you you could maybe set your mindset to be more you're excited to go out on that and then change the feeling to be better. Or the feeling stays the same, but the mindset around it changes. Do you feel like that's true?
I feel that is true, but for someone with me who has really bad anxiety issues, it's really hard to convince myself that it's not anxiety. And I remember we talked about this. I think we were all in the same class for AP Psychology. We talked about the Schachter two-factor theory of emotion, where it's you get the reaction, and then what you make of it is what you label it mentally. So a lot of the time it's not necessarily concrete, but it's the mental label you put on it is what you're gonna feel. And for me, I know I struggle with anxiety, so I often label it like that. But I think there is a lot of power in trying to change what you perceive it as, or kind of just accepting it and not really going deeper into that. Oh, I'm having anxiety, and it makes you more anxious.
Do you think anxiety could be more, not necessarily you feel the sensations way more than the average person, but rather you attribute anxious thoughts to the feeling more than the average person?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people I feel that might get the same reactions, but there's certain people where it's kind of what they would describe as stickier for certain people. So some people get stuck a lot more on the fact that they're anxious, and then they attribute more and more mental energy to trying to combat it, which is basically a form of resisting anxiety, which is not a way to make it better. So I think certain people feel it in the same ways, but they don't mentally process it in the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that.
All right.
Henry?
I think I have two things, right?
No, I only asked for one.
Just kidding. No, so you know what? Now you get 0.
No, please.
I was giving you a 2-for-1 deal, bro, but you decided to turn that down. Okay. So first thing I would say is that I wish I learned earlier how terrible of a feeling regret is. Regret is the worst type of pain, right? It's it's persistent and it gnaws on you. It doesn't go away because that event it still happened, right? Yeah. So it just gnaws away at you. So I would say to not do anything that you regret, obviously, right? But really take time to make sure that your decisions are what you want, and that you are absolutely sure you will not regret not taking action or doing certain action. And also another thing that I wish I learned earlier is just that ultimately life is just taking things one step at a time. You can't do multiple I mean, you technically can, but that's gonna trip you up in some severe ways. So and it's just gonna be a lot easier on yourself if you just take things one at a time. Just keep moving forward one step at a time.
starting to think I should have gone first because I was just gonna say the contracts. Y'all had like
No,
much better.
That's a vague idea, bro. Go ahead.
That I'm implementing that as soon as I go home today.
You know, I'll change it to some. I'll try to. Basically, internal motivation is very important, but human nature, right, can get in the way of internal motivation or can limit it. So, you know, I don't believe in free will. I think a lot of what you do is based on your environment and the things around you. So recognizing that I think is important because then you can figure out ways to change your environment to work for you rather than just relying on pure like willpower. So that's where the contracts come in. They act as me controlling my environment, my external environment, to make me more predisposed to doing the actions I'd want to do.